And we are live. Hello to all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there. And welcome to another rendition of Grapple Gurus. This time we are back once again with the Wrestle Watch team for WrestleMania 41 Night 2 review. I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and joining me this evening, of course, he survived 5 days of nonstop wrestling and action and adventure in my hometown. And sporting our unofficial sponsor of Luchador Brewery itself, Minnie, is in the house. Happy to have him. And then, of course, you know him. You love him. Our Bond villain here, Mr. Kilt Man, in the turning chair.
You had to interrupt right in the middle of my introduction. I was going to be fun, leave you be, not call you again, but you know.
Hey. That's what happens when you let the dogs out. Braun Breaker is still infected his system. Anywho, so we will be having more people be popping in as we go throughout the review. But right now we are here. Well, speaking of which, hang on. So I spoke too soon. So hang on. Let's just do this real quick because we got a fourth person on the panel today. You know him, you love him. It's Mr. JVL himself.
Howdy, folks.
I have not been in the same phone call with this beautiful bastard in at least 2 years. Hi, JVL.
I still have that nice warm patch where you licked me last time. I feel really good now.
Oh, the warm patch.
Hi, JVL. I appreciate you being here this evening.
I'm glad I could get up off my deathbed and just leave Kenny Omega alone with both of our diverticulitis. It's good.
I'm happy to have you here, but don't push yourself too hard. Well, I can't say that.
I'm my chicken broth, and I'm sitting here okay, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But we may or may not have a rogue professor be popping in later. We'll see how his schedule pans out.
I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Hey, you know what? He was here. He was here yesterday, so
he did show up yesterday, and we didn't have to call him this time.
Yes,
I'm just saying, he showed up yesterday because I didn't. I'm in the room. He's not coming.
For lots of reasons. We had people be switching in and out today for various reasons we'll talk about after we're done with the stream. But for right now, these are the four individuals that you are going to have to deal with when it comes to reviewing Night 2 of WrestleMania, which should be a good time. I am in better spirits because Night 2, in my opinion, was a lot better than Night 1, but not by much. But we'll talk about all that when we get into it.
Interesting.
We gonna fight. It's gonna be great. So the way that we're gonna structure this review is we're gonna go through Night 2, and then we're gonna talk about some news in terms of the world of WWE, like a certain Lucha Libre company being bought out by the Federation itself and what that means, as well as the whole entire summer slate of events being announced all at once. And then I'm apologizing to my wallet in advance. So we're gonna talk about that when we get to it. But if you like what you see on your screen, even if you don't, that is okay. We love you either way. We love the positive and the negative feedback. So please make sure to leave a comment underneath the YouTube video during our, head on over to Twitch to leave a comment. You can also check out our social medias at BC WrestlePod and let us know how we're doing, where you can not only see these reviews happening live, but you can also check out the edited reviews that get posted up a day later, as well as look at the social medias for out of context clips that will totally not come and bite us in the butt when we apply for future jobs or when we become famous. They will also probably be used as cannon fodder for people trying to cancel us, which I cannot wait. We also have report cards for all the pay-per-views, the PLEs, the weekly shows. And summer, May, and the rest of the summer 2025 is getting jam-packed with lots of stuff. Independent promotions are loving us, you guys. I kind of dig it.
Just wait for Sunday. It's going to be even better.
Okay, we got to talk about that because I'm excited, but I need to figure out how I'm going to do these slides, but we'll talk about it afterwards. Stay tuned for all that information later. So, with that out of the way, let's get into it. So, boys, before we jump into match by match, I want to get your overall thoughts because everybody watched both nights. We are reviewing Night 2. My question to start us off is, which night to you was stronger, Night 1 or Night 2? Kilt, I'm going to let you go first. So, Kilt, which one was stronger to you, 1 or 2?
I always have this trouble when I'm at my optometrist because they all look the same to me. But
Number one, number two, number one, number two.
number one, number two. I honestly I did like both of them. They were both great. Now, granted, night 2 had some of the better entrances, and there was a few things I wish were longer and were more brutal. But things that did happen that were hilarious and I loved more. So night 2 is definitely getting my pick. And there's a very specific tweet that I had to read that I live retweeted while we were watching because someone decided to take a selfie outside the ring.
Oh man, I cannot wait to get into that. Once again, one of my personal favorites on the social medias. So fantastic. Minnie, I come to you next. Between night one and night 2, which one do you think was the strongest?
If you take the main event of night, I understand. I'll explain this a little bit later when we talk about the main event of night 2, because I understand why they did what they did. But if you take the main event of night 1 and move it to the main event of night 2 would be the perfect Mania.
Interesting. All right.
Well, not the perfect Mania, but it would be a really good show.
I would agree.
The main event, and we'll explain that a little bit more when we get there. But night 2 to me was better overall for the product. For if you're just like, I'm here to watch wrestling, night 2 was better. And then when we get into I'll explain a little bit more about my reasonings. I know JBL's over there giving me some weird faces.
I'm just through and I'm trying to parse it because I understand why you're saying it. I'm confused, but I'll get you to tell me why.
Don't worry, I'll cook later on tonight. Don't worry.
I love it. I'm waiting.
But night 2 was stronger for if you just like wrestling overall. The stories, as shitty as the main event was wrestling wise and confusion wise, it opened up Pandora's box, and we'll explain that when we get there.
Absolutely. And then finally, JVL, which night was stronger for you?
Neither was stronger. Because for all the highs you got in certain places, the lows were super low. So I feel like neither of them could get any momentum. They kind of shot themselves in the foot during each night. If you had moved a couple matches around, you would have had a really bad night 1 and a really good night 2 and vice versa. So I can't pick between the two because they didn't improve. They just continued the trend for me, which was weird.
All righty. I can't wait to unpack all of that as we get through to it. So, without further ado, let's just jump into everything. So, we kick off night 2 with the match that was my personal match of the entire weekend. Should have been later in the card, but I'm not the one in charge of booking this. But we have the triple threat for the Women's World Championship. Io Sky defending her title against both the Elimination Chamber winner, Bianca Belair, and, former champion who didn't necessarily, it was by their own fault, but Rhea got inserted into this match because there was a double DQ count out. Bianca called for the match and Rhea was put into this match. So this match is basically Bianca and Rita fighting each other and both of them treating Io like an afterthought in this whole entire thing. And so Io was fed up with it. She's like, I'm going to beat both of you at Mania. I'm going to walk out as champion. And that's exactly what she did. This was my favorite match of the 2 nights of Mania, hands down. Like, I'm just like, I don't know why we don't let the women main event, but again, I don't book the shows. I don't work for the Fed.
You don't have Ari Emanuel calling up The Rock at 4 a.m. and telling him to ruin other pay-per-views and not trusting anyone on your roster to do stuff. So, So
I love this match. Again, I love all 3 women involved here. It's been very interesting to see the last couple of weeks Bianca starting to get booed, which is really weird. I'm like, what'd she do, you guys? Like, she didn't do anything. I was just like, it's because she's black, isn't she? But nobody's ready for that conversation.
I think it's partly because it's who they don't want. They thought
that's
that
also true.
Doesn't take time off to do another storyline, and then it became Jade and Naomi, and so obviously she's left in there like, what else can Bianca do but go for the title? So they don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In my opinion, out of the insane amount of wrestling that I watched, so I'm gonna put it in context for everybody. I watched all 3 GCW pay-per-views events this weekend. I watched CMLL. I don't know why I said it like that. Sorry, Adolfo. I know he's gonna hit me for that later. And I watched TNA and Progress on top of Stand and Deliver and both nights of Mania. This match was a top 3 match for me. Of everything that happened this weekend. That's how good of the match this was. It was insane.
Which I kind of feel like we knew it was going to be because it's these three. Like,
Well,
so
but
I had.
I
Oh, go ahead.
feel like most people were still just like Rhea and Bianca were doing here. We're giving Io a pass out. Like, why are you here other than you're the champion? Why did you get that? And this was Io going, I'm a badass. I'm more of a badass than most people remember that I am. And I'm going to take on both of you and pin Bianca, which gives Rhea a chance to come back after the title again because we've gotten Rhea into the problem that we have with Charlotte Flair, which is what is Rhea without the title now? So I'd love to see this kind of develop a bit more, but the three of them together are magic and should continue to fight each other for years to come.
Absolutely. Again, I love this match. This was fantastic. Io does walk out as the champion. And then, of course, we talked about it last night with Io getting a dream match I did not know I wanted on a Monday Night Raw after Mania against Stephanie Vaquer, our current women's NXT champion, which I was like,
really good.
I was like, I'm right. Whenever Stephanie comes up to main roster, I'm ready for that to happen on the main roster. But anyways, Kilts, any additional thoughts to our opener match here?
No additional thoughts. Holy booty. I saw a TikTok later on where someone had dropped their yeet glasses, and Rhea picked it up, puts them on, goes yeet, and then gives them back.
She did the yeet, the no yeet, and then gave him back.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
Rhea's fantastic.
She's great. And that's all I have.
She got rocked in the eye. Y'all see that?
Ooh, she had a nasty black eye
Yeah.
when we saw it Monday night after Mania. Like, ooh, she got some receipts in this match, but this was great. And I'm kind of with you, JVL. I wonder where Rhea goes now that she no longer has the championship. It might be teased that Io and Rhea might be going at it one more time within the summer season. But more importantly, I'm interested to see where Bianca goes from here because we still have some loose ends with Naomi and Jade and all that stuff. She walked away from the situation, but it's not going to be done with her. I'm calling it right now. So Bianca needs closure. So she can't just walk away and pretend nothing happened. But then again, we'll see if they get split during the draft because then we're going to throw that out the window. Anyways, again, this is a really strong opener. This was my favorite match of the 2 nights of WrestleMania 41. And we move on to our second match of the card, which is a Sin City street fight where the correct sponsorship had the better costuming for the wrestlers involved here. So this was Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. Drew McIntyre got the better end of the sponsored costuming between him and the War Raiders. This was definitely better. I'm upset that the Shield did not come into play as part of the Sin City street fight, but also they're trying not to break the props.
They only have so much budget for those every year. I mean, come on. Exactly.
I mean, to me, this match did what it needed to do. It was a street fight. I'm surprised this is the only match at Mania this year that had any type of stipulation to it.
Right.
Like, we didn't get a ladder match. We didn't get any, like, last man standing or whatever. This was the only one that was a street fight. Yes, Kilt.
But you only got 3 tables broken out of all of WrestleMania.
Well, it's not TLC.
No, yeah, still.
Granted,
we did have the both announced tables broken at least once during both nights, each night, but still could have had more tables.
I mean, I was spoiled. I watched about 15 doors get broken.
The door bridges and GCW.
Georgia's spring break and Evie's Big A brunch. So I saw a lot of things get broken.
That's still not enough doors. If you watch Mystery Wrestling from last month, I think it was 27 doors in one match.
That makes sense. They have the greatest clip I've ever seen in any wrestling in a Mystery Wrestling match where the guy goes for the Eddie Guerrero spot, throws the chair, and the dude doesn't catch it, and just jumps through the door. Best spot I've ever seen in wrestling besides CP Gay taking off his shirt to have another shirt. To then take off the shirt to another shirt.
Yep.
We love CP Gay.
CPA. He went with CP Gay for that. But yeah, this match was the match that won me the WWE Prediction League. So I'm biased towards this match.
Of course you are.
Drew McIntyre took it. So, which is weird because I mean, he kind of reminds me a little bit of he's Damian Priest is kind of getting that little bit of a Kane thing, like Inferno match is my match, but loses every Inferno match. It's like street fights are my thing, but he's lost both street fights.
That's very true. Now, I'm hoping it's a work, though, because when he was telling the ref he couldn't breathe after that last shot, I'm like, oh, please let that be a work. I don't need Damian Priest to actually have his larynx crushed.
I think it fully was because Drew was meant to win pretty handily here. He needed that kind of like boost to go up there and have something good happen. And in the most brutal way, he basically turned his Claymore into a Van Daminator, which was insane and amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Such a good match.
Also, Drew McIntyre still having the best Twitter game on the planet, taking a whole selfie.
Still bored at work, lol.
Still bored at work, lol, in the middle of the match. I was like, that is the smartest thing ever. There's a reason that he got the Slammy this year for best social media star. He is so good. As far as the street fight goes, I'm biased. I thought this was a fun one, but nothing will... To me, my favorite street fight in recent memory of WWE is Backlash Puerto Rico, Damian and Bad Bunny. Only because of the sheer spectacle of it all. The Puerto Rican crowd was amazing. And plus, Bad Bunny actually went ham. Like, Bad Bunny is one of the few celebrities that put in the work to be doing all this. I want Bad Bunny back on WWE television in some capacity soon.
Yeah, there it is pinned.
Yeah.
Still bored at work, lol.
They love to see it. Overall, this was a fun street fight by WWE standards. Again, we're spoiled for those of us that watch other promotions and other companies too when it comes to these type of stipulated hardcore matches. Within the same span of the weekend, I went from this street fight to a barbed wire massacre match in TNA to Sabu's retirement match, which was a no ropes barbed wire death match as well. And those clips will still haunt me to this day.
Meanwhile, this is the most sanitized PG-13 version of a street fight you've ever seen. But at the same time,
it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. And yes, Mitty, because of this match, won the WWE Predictions League for the 2024-2025 season. I did not come in last, so I have thankfully escaped my fate. Professor, however, did not leave unscathed. So I can't wait to break that news to him.
So he's double doing double duty at that point.
Well, not necessarily. He lost WWE, but he didn't come in last in AEW.
That's true.
And I and Will came last in TNA, so that one's also going to be fun. So, but this was a fun match. This was good by WWE standards, and I was like, you know what? I'm already enjoying this. What can we possibly get into next? This was also a really fun one. Oh my gosh, this match was fun. This was, to me, this was a match I was like, when I think of Mania, this is what I need to see. Just everybody spamming finishers, everybody just jumping all over the place, going nuts. And
the only bad part about this match, what the fuck was Finn wearing?
Okay. He's like, I'm ready to clean the dishes, y'all. He literally had gloves on like he was about to wash the dishes.
It wasn't a mask. That was a t-shirt.
It's wild. I'm like, Finn, what are we doing?
I miss Demon Finn.
We're never going to see that again.
I know.
It's wild. But this is the fatal four-way for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker defending his title against Dirty Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and Penta, who is still El Cero Miedo, and Cero Miedo for those of us who still love him for that. First of all, I love that even though Night One's match was last-minute replacement, I love that both the Lucha Brothers got to have a Mania match. So early being here in the company, especially Rey Fenix, literally he's only been on the roster for 3 weeks. And because of a freak groin accident, he got to be on Mania to face everybody's new favorite Starbucks drink. So, but as far as this match goes, I loved every single moment of it. As soon as that bell rang, everybody just went full throttle, nonstop. It was everybody doing what they do best. Penta out here breaking arms, Braun spearing people, being a mad lad, and the dogs are barking. Finn Balor hitting people with coup de grace. Dominic Mysterio trying to hit, 619s and frog splashes on people. We had Judgment Day interferences from Carlito, who also had a second funeral after being speared from like 10 feet across the table.
Hold on, it's 15 foot according to Pat McAfee.
So, to me, this is how multi-man matches need to be. Just everybody throwing everything at each other and doing really crazy things. And it was so nice because beginning of the match, people are kind of cheering but booing for Dominic. As the match goes on, this kid gets the crowd behind him. And it was really nice when he pinned Finn and got the championship. And Dominic Mysterio is your new Intercontinental Champion. I was like, well deserved. He's put in his dues. He's shown that he is a good wrestler, fantastic. And I'm here for the Dominic Mysterio IC Championship run agenda.
I absolutely love the clip afterwards as they were cutting away from it, where Dom was walking out with Finn, like trying to still be that heel, and he's like, "No, I got to soak this in," and ran back in, like ran back in their ring to take in the cheers because he's never had that experience before. It's amazing for this kid.
No, everybody did fantastic, and we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but I love that Finn Balor is the only one who doesn't see the writing on the wall when it comes to all of this. He's like, hey, you know what? Judgment Day has the championship. I'm like,
oh, honey.
It's crazy.
Then he stared at that belt. He was just staring at it, like this is lost lover.
Yeah, so the Judgment Day breakup is going to be happening. I see this over the course of the summer. I would not be surprised if we get Finn and Dominic for that title either at Backlash or somewhere in the summer to officially like have that break. Last night, or Monday, for Monday Night Raw, we got the return of JD McForehead.
JD McDonask.
JD McDonask. However, punctured lungs are still nothing to be scoffed at. I was like, oh my God, I think he died. But again, I love this match. I really thought it was a lot of fun. To me, this is what a Mania match needs to be. Boys, does anyone else have any additional thoughts?
Nope.
I have a question.
What's up?
Since Braun lost in this match and lost in such fashion, but didn't lose by being pinned, and now with what happened on Monday Night Raw, do you think he's going to be challenging back to get a rematch to bring that title back to that group, or do you think he's finally done with the IC title? He's moving on.
I think he's moving on.
He's moving on. Here's why. I feel like he wins Money in the Bank. He wins Money in the Bank and beats Jey Uso.
Seth?
No, he takes the World Heavyweight Championship off Jey Uso.
Interesting.
So when we talked about it last night, I compared this new faction with Paul Heyman, Braun, and Seth as like Evolution 2.0. But with Evolution, you need one more member who is going to take the place of the young Randy Orton upstart. And I got some looks last night, but I think it could be fun. But again, I'm here for chaos also, so it could be chaotic AF. But I say that Randy Orton position, you put Austin Theory in this group, and he could be running. He could be running around the mid card.
I don't know if they're going to go the Evolution route though, because they got Heyman on board. They might be going with a Dangerous Alliance 2.0, which had a Medusa as part of it and a couple other things in WCW. They could not need that part of it and just bring in who they wanted to.
Yeah, that's also very true too. But to answer your question, JBL, I think Braun's going to be moving on. I kind of like the idea, like what you said, Minnie, of Braun winning Money in the Bank. Because honestly, I can't, at least right now, I can't think of anybody else who would benefit from having that briefcase. And because Braun's going to be taking on that Dave Bautista role, I'm excited for the thumbs up, thumbs down moment that might happen. Because WWE likes to play the greatest hits.
As George Lucas said, it's poetry. It rhymes.
Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
I feel like they're going to give him a run. I think he's going to hold it. He's going to get the world championship, and then Seth might be going for whatever happens post Cena.
That is also very true. Which we'll get to.
I feel like this faction is going to span multiple brands,
right?
Not be like as big as like NWO or Bullet Club or something like that, but I feel like it's going to be a couple guys, and each guy is going to be going for different belts. Now we just got to think about. There was also heard talks about them possibly moving Fraxium to be part of this group.
Which would be interesting because they are total baby faces. Or at least they are baby faces in NXT.
They turned heel because they lost the belts.
Well, so if we're going to do that, I feel like I don't want them to split. That's the problem, because I think they're great as a tag team.
No, so what I was hearing with the current like rumors could be is Fraxian moves to join them and Axiom goes maskless.
Go back to being a kid.
And then that would give them their tag team, and then they go for the tag titles. So you have the tag titles, you have Braun as world heavyweight, and then maybe you have Seth as universal. Which would be it could be the most dominant faction in wrestling history.
Right.
Both main titles being held by the same faction, which I think is what they're going to try to do with this.
Could be. I think we're waiting to see who ends up on what brand, because again, while we hate it, the draft is going to be putting people on different shows. So until we solidify where all of them go, they're probably going to hold off into doing anything too crazy. But again, to wrap up this, I love this match. This is also another fun one for me. And if I had to pick my 3 favorite matches of both nights of Mania, this would end up in the 3. Don't know where I would put it in particular order, but I had a great time with this. Now, I don't care what anyone says, but let's talk about Randy Orton's Open Challenge.
This is fucking awesome.
This was the best.
What are you worried about, Mikey? All of us enjoyed this.
That's
the internet, it's the IWC that didn't like it.
The internet doesn't like fun.
Is never happy.
It never is. But we have Randy Orton's Open Challenge.
The joy on his face as he comes out, hears that roar, and then turns around. And you see that emotion of being at WrestleMania. Like, how can you hate this?
I know, it's crazy. So Randy gets into the ring. He gets on the mic and says he doesn't care who, but somebody needs to open his answer challenge. It gets quiet. The doors open, and I was like, hold up, who's coming out? And then, of course, it's say his name, and he appears, because we here at BC Wrestle Pod believe in Joe Hendry. This was, okay, we're far enough in. This was fucking awesome, okay? This was a good viral moment. Joe Hendry is the perfect person to have, this. And also, I love the crowd's videos. Watching Randy Orton kind of vibe into the song a little bit, too, was fantastic.
You get this thing, you hear from the backstage stuff afterwards, like when they talked to Randy about who he was thinking about doing it, he's put up Joe Hendry because of how he's gotten himself up there. And then you see Randy like really checking in with it as he's coming down, like, yep, I made a right choice. This should have been my opponent. This is perfect.
It's so the original discourse I saw for this was who was the other person that they were going to possibly be his opponent, which was Jeff Hardy.
Right. For a TNA pop.
So people were like, damn, we could have had Jeff Hardy. And then people were like, damn, this was disrespectful. They had the TNA World Heavyweight Champion lose in 3 minutes. I was like, well, okay, he lost to Randy Orton.
Yeah. He's not being buried like everybody else is saying. Even Scott D'Amore has said this is a great thing for TNA.
This is the best thing to happen for TNA. Their world championship is on WrestleMania.
And he got stuff in. It wasn't like it was like an RKO and he's out.
No, he was dominating the match until the RKO hit.
Yes, Kill.
Which, by the way, they had a great meme. Anyways, Kill, go ahead.
I have to be quick because I'm being summoned somewhere real quick for a moment.
Okay.
This should have been longer. Oh my god, this should have been longer. I ate this so much. I loved it. It was so great. It was so awesome. This was by far, like, I loved the Jacob LA Knight fight. That was a great match. This match was it was mwah. Like when we were talking about our joking aside was who's going to answer the challenge. And we were joking. I joked like it would be Shane McMahon. That would have gotten a great pop.
He blew his quads again.
But he blew his quads. But it was but Joe Hendry coming out was perfect. And then as we saw earlier this week on NXT, he comes out again.
Yeah. Confronting Trick and Obafemi, which is crazy.
And it's a great thing to see in this era of wrestling where there is co-mingling with the stars on other platforms. TNA was coming over here to NXT and WWE, and vice versa. And, you have AAA's now coming to be hanging out and all this. And I love it. It's amazing.
Have a choice.
Well, technically no, but still.
It was cool to see Vikingo.
Yeah.
It is. We'll talk about that when we get to we will talk about that when we get to our news section because Adolfo's not here, but Adolfo and I and Minnie had this conversation during and after the watch along too, but we'll break all that down when we get to the news section. But again, my favorite parts of this whole thing, well, everything was my favorite part, but the ones that popped me the hardest is when Joe did his spin around thing and the camera zooms in and they just did this perfectly where Randy comes off screen and RKO's him, which was so good.
Oh my God.
And
the
then
best part
after
is it was legitimately out of nowhere because like there was no look. Joe Hendry didn't even look in the direction to like see it coming or anything. He stared straight the whole time. He did that so well.
And he's like, "Oh snap!"
I only have one nitpick with this entire thing.
Okay.
The camera guy gave away the meme at the end before it happened.
Yeah.
Zoomed in on Randy's back before Randy had turned around as if he hadn't practiced it and didn't wait for Randy to do the turn. And that just bothered me. I was like, come on.
That's also very true. I was like, Randy is my favorite person right now. Again, I was like, he's just leaning in. See, I like this version of Randy than younger Randy. And he's even gone on record stating that he was kind of a dill hole when he was starting in the company. But now I love being married and dad Orton, like having multiple children and RKOing his children into the pool. Orton, this is the fun.
Oh my God,
Orton.
I remember doing that when I was a kid. I would do tombstones into a pool. I would do freaking RK. I would do stupid shit into a pool. But yes, this Orton still angsty and pissed off, still looking shredded and badass and baby oiled up. But is able to joke and be not really personal per se, but like be funny and have.
He leans into it and more, and he loves doing it.
Like the freaking Elden Ring line.
Yeah. Also, shout out Randy Orton, you big nerd. We love that you play Elden Ring.
He should have come out like that. I wish Elden Ring's developers had the promotional budget to do this, and had given him a little bit of a. An Elden Ring makeup for this.
That would be amazing.
Because again, you can't get better shout outs than wrestlers talking about your shit on wrestling.
Right. And honestly, I think this was a lot of fun, especially given the fact that Randy's original plan had to be scrapped because Kevin Owens was not cleared and now he's getting surgery and he's gone for pretty much the rest of this year and probably all of next year too, according to reports. I'm just hoping it's not bad enough where Kevin's going to have to retire because that would suck so much. But I think this was a great plan B. Everyone was great. And I want to highlight Joshua in the chat here stating that Joe had the best Mania moment. It was genuinely organic. And it was just so magical to see him and the pop that happened. Yes, agreed. Joe Hendry not only getting this Mania moment, but what was brought up earlier too is that the following night yesterday on Tuesday, he comes out on NXT and he basically calls out Trick Williams for being a whiny little bitch, which Trick is starting to be. And he turned into Carmelo Hayes over the last year since losing the championship, which has been fun to watch. And he also has unfinished business with Oba Femi as well. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Joe as we go through the summer, because Joe has to first get through Frankie Kazarian and All Ego Ethan Page in Los Angeles this Sunday. And who knows if he's walking out as a champion by the end of it. But regardless, Joe had the best moment.
He's going to be in WWE by the end of the year. I mean, we know this. He's going to be a WWE superstar by the end of the year.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Jordan's already there. Joe's also, going to be heading over there. So I'm happy for him.
What genuinely made this match so good, another one, like he was saying, there was no sport, like the internet didn't sport. We didn't know who was going to come out. There was no spoilers for it. Mm-hmm. There was nothing. Like, unfortunately, with Lyra Bacteria, everybody knew it was Becky Lynch.
Yeah, as soon as Bayley got attacked and she was no longer able to compete, I'm like, I already think I know where this is going, but let's see where
everybody said it was Becky Lynch, and everybody knew it was Becky Lynch. That's why I was like, it's cool that she's back, but fuck, man, we could have had fucking AJ Lee here.
On top of the fact that you have it happen after this reveal, like you just sucked the momentum out of that. There was not going to be anything. It was still great to see her, but like, yeah, no, don't book those both returns on the same show if we're going to have this kind of thing with Joe Hendry. It wasn't
Right.
gonna...
Or at least not on the same night. I feel like we could have moved the tag team match to night 1 and we would have been okay. But it is what it is. But Joe had a great Mania moment. Randy is enjoying himself. This was a nice viral moment. That is one of the stronger parts of this show, which I loved. I can't say the same thing for the match that came after.
This was the poop break.
This was
Yay.
the bathroom. This
Let's
was the
watch-
bathroom break match.
It was
Let's
mine.
watch
I laughed. I wouldn't
Kerry and Logan Paul. Yeah, that's great. Awesome.
So AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I
The
don't want to
only good thing about this match was the fact that it's being as a stepping stone to push Karrion Kross.
I hope so. I hope so.
We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, this was a Logan Paul match against any superstar. We get them wrestling, and then, of course, the Nucks come out, and then shenanigans happen, and Logan wins. That is basically the same formula for every single one of his matches that he has had in the WWE. And unfortunately, he does win over AJ Styles, which is sad to me. I'm like, ugh, this was a waste of a Mania match. We could have had this on the SmackDown Go Home instead.
But you don't get Logan Paul in WrestleMania then to take his selfie drone around and actually get all those views from people that like crappy YouTube personalities.
That is-
I
go
thought
ahead.
the drone footage was kind of cool, and I won't deny that because it's as a videographer and as an audio person who's going to a convention in June that is specifically for the AV industry. Having drones and that stuff would be great. It's great. It's cool. It's a little overused because it's Logan Paul, but yeah, this match was. I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get Karrion Kross to become an instigator, to turn AJ heel again, and it's just not way. They should have had this be AJ versus Karrion Kross and just let Logan Paul just kind of be on a SmackDown or some other lesser PLE, but not Mania. He should not have had a Mania moment.
How much do you want to bet that Logan probably, if that had been pitched to him, would have said no because Kross isn't at his level, or so he thinks, of drawing power at that point? Which is sad to say, because you would think that if Logan was a good wrestler, no matter what the drawing power of the person he's with in that ring, he could be able to give it a moment and make it big and drag this person up to his level. But he's not that good of a wrestler. He's technically interesting. Personality-wise, he leans very hard into the fact that he's a horrible human being. And that's about it. He's just a chicken shit heel who punches people.
With brass knuckies.
No, with his titanium rod that he has.
Yeah, that's also true.
It's John Cena levels of formulaic, but not with John Cena levels of charisma and need.
Yeah. You know what? So here's my biggest issue with this match. Outside of it being, well, Logan Paul.
Ooh. No, I'm gonna expand on what you just said, JVL. It's John Cena levels formulas, but it's Hulk Hogan level personality.
Ooh, that's I hate that combination, but you're right. So it might be outside of it being Logan of all people. My biggest issue is that honestly, I want AJ to have a WrestleMania match. It should not have been against Logan. I think him versus Karrion could have been interesting, but you could have also had this match happen on the Friday go home, and I still would have been okay with this. Do you want to know why? And I will die on this hill. The fact that we get a triple threat for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships and a TLC match on Friday this week, we could have had that TLC triple threat here.
Because it's the Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, and the Street
And
Profits.
Champion Profits, I might add too. Like, tell me that's not an awesome pairing of 6 individuals, and it's a TLC match. Like, that would go ham at Mania. But no, we had to do AJ versus Logan. This is where my interest started to dip a little bit in night 2. I was like, I enjoyed the first 3 matches. Well, the first 4 matches. And then this started to dip for me. This was the bathroom break. Again, Logan wins. I want to move on. I don't want to talk about this no more.
I took a shit during this match.
Yes. Yes, you did. And you were very, very aware. You were very vocal about letting me and Adolfo know that is exactly what you were doing.
Yes, I remember. I was there too. It was, I'm gonna go take it. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna in the distance in the bathroom. I'm taking a shit. Oh, and JVL, to put this into perspective, based off of from, I'm not sure if you saw what we said last night, but when we got to the Charlotte and Tiffany match,
Botox Skeletor?
Yeah, Botox Skeletor.
The broken teeth match, yeah.
The broken teeth match. I openly admit the only thing that kept me even paying slightly attention was Professor going, and I can't feel my face, and doing the Skeletor voice the entire commentary time. I was like,
it's wonderful. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, I can't smile. I'm like, oh, this is the only thing keeping me here right now.
Yeah,
It was so wild.
We kept doing
My
that. the
teeth
entire
have
time.
broken out of my face. Ah!
This conversation is more entertaining than this match. Let's move on. So we all knew what was happening. As soon as this graphic popped up the day of, I was like, I already know what's going to happen. So for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships is Liv and Raquel. This is, Cry About It, Liv Morgan, and La Chingona Bomb herself, Raquel Rodriguez. But we can't say that on WWE main roster television. So they changed her finisher to the Tejana Bomb. I was just like, Mas puta. Anyways, I was like, Raquel is about that life. She is literally like 2 Sharpie eyebrows away from being 100% Cholita status every time she come out. So I don't even know why you're trying to whitewash her. Just let her have the Chingona Bomb as a finisher. It is fantastic.
I'm surprised
we
she
get
asked Liv to hold her earrings every time she goes to the ring.
honestly, if she started doing that, I think I would love her even more than I already do. But I digress. So Liv and Raquel make their entrance. Lyra makes her entrance. I'm not the biggest fan of her in the white outfit. I like it when she uses the dark feathers as her entrance because it's cooler that way. But hey, you know what? Her outfit game for the most part is on point, except for Mania when we almost had a whole entire wardrobe malfunction and she had to go to the corner for the ref to fix it. Shout out to Jessica Carr for fixing that problem.
That was the Rumble, yeah.
It was. So then Lyra comes out, Liv on, the ring mics that we can overhear, yells at Lyra, who'd you get? And to nobody's surprise, we got the man, Becky Lynch, coming back. And as soon as Becky walked out, I was like, well, I know how this match is going to end.
Okay, so hear me out. This match should have ended like how the Monday after happened, because they won and immediately lose the titles again the next night, and Becky turns heel.
That was so stupid.
They should just do that at Mania.
What are you saying? Minnie,
Agreed.
You don't want Becky to hotshot Triple H booking that should have taken 6 weeks in 2 nights?
She should have just turned on Lyra here because here, let me just put this in perspective. Let's look at the timeline of this, right? So to nobody's surprise, Lyra and Becky win the tag team championships. Cool, whatever. So then, now granted, earlier on Saturday in the morning, Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley won the right to face for whoever walks out of this match as champion on NXT on Tuesday. So Sunday night after this match, it was going to be Lyra and Becky. Fast forward to the Raw where Liv and Raquel get those titles back. And then it becomes Gigi Tatum versus the Chemical X Girls versus, Liv and Raquel. And then Monday Night Raw after Mania is where Becky turns on Lyra. I'm still here for Becky turning on Lyra, but it makes no sense for Liv and Raquel to lose on Sunday and get it back on Monday. I'm like, what was the whole point of ending that title reign if you were just going to give it back to them?
Everything in me screamed that I wanted them, if they won this, which they did, then that becomes the catalyst for Becky to want that Intercontinental title. So she comes back and wants that, and then they break apart. They lose the titles a couple nights later. Like that, that's fine. But then it becomes Lyra and Becky makes more sense that Becky's a heel and wants that title turned heel that way. So this was just hot-shotting for no reason.
Exactly.
This is a huge misstep. And I mean, let's be real. This was like an 8-minute match. We knew what the end result was, and I was just like, all right, it's fine. It just sucks because I wish I mean, Lyra and Becky did win, but still, I was like, I wish Lyra would instead be able to just bless you. Honestly, I would have preferred if,
Salute.
Lyra had an open challenge and Becky answered it here. I'm still mad that Lyra doesn't get to defend her title at Mania and Chelsea didn't get to defend her title at Mania.
Exactly.
You know what I was honestly hoping for? I knew it was Becky Lynch, but I was hoping beyond hope they make Chelsea Green come out as her partner. So it's the two new mid.
That's what we said. Chelsea
That's
Green
what
would
we
have
said
been
earlier
fun.
that day too.
But no, for me, this is the other thing I have to ask you three about this. We remember the last time they tried to turn Becky heel there. Do we think we're gonna have the same problem with the fact that the fans are still going to cheer because she's back? She's been gone for so long that she can't sustain a heel run even if she tries.
The answer, I feel like right now, the answer is no, because Lyra Valkyria is super over.
Lyra
Yes,
has
no.
the. Go ahead.
No. I just say yes and no. That's all I'm saying on that. Keep going, Mike.
No, I was gonna say is that I've seen this constantly since Lyra has come up from NXT to the main roster. It always happens the same way for Lyra. The crowd is not usually invested into whatever match she is, and then by like halfway through, she gets the crowd on her side because Lyra is that flipping good in the ring.
Oh yeah.
So that is a good question. I'm gonna say at this time, I don't know. I'm still 50-50 because it's still fresh that Becky turned on Lyra. So I need Becky to double down and make the fans hate her in some capacity, because the problem is Becky runs into the problem like Rhea was. Like Rhea was heel, but we still chanted for mommy every single time.
She needs to join Paul Heyman's faction with her husband.
That would be so good.
Dangerous Alliance 2.0.
Yes, that'd
They
be
both
so
can
freaking
come out. They can both come out in the big fuzzy robes.
And Paul's gonna come out with that like old ass like cell phone like portable phone he had in WCW.
That would be hilarious. So again, Lyra and Becky walk out as your new tag team champs. Not even 24 hours later, Liv and Raquel would get them back on Mania. And even though it was a valiant effort, unfortunately, Gigi and Tatum could not take the titles from them last night on NXT. But I am excited because it seems we are now starting a feud with Liv and Raquel facing off against Zarya and Sol Ruka in NXT for those tag titles, which has me interested.
Make Sol the triple champion. I'm here for it.
Grand Slam.
We know it's going to end with Zarya turning on Sol, which is also going to be a really fun feud. But I'm also here for Zarya and Sol feuding with Liv and Raquel because their backstage segment was a lot of fun last night. But we move on from this. Okay. This is our main event of night 2 for the undisputed WWE Championship. You know, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, taking on the true final champion in John Cena. This pissed a lot of people off.
John Cena ruined wrestling, like he said he would.
Which was the point, and then I was confused why people were so mad about it.
John said we get nothing and we got nothing.
Oh yeah. And then but then we got something, which was the hella confusing ending that made no sense.
That I feel like they could have done the exact same thing without Travis Scott.
Oh yeah.
Which would have made a lot more sense and that made that match way better.
But now listening to all the kerfuffle around all of this booking and what happened from Elimination Chamber on and all that stuff, how it changed all the booking they were going to do that made sense. It's like, what in the blue hell is wrong?
If they would have just kept it heel, John turns heel at Chamber without The Rock's interference, then does the exact same thing that he did without Travis Scott, would have been fine.
Or do the original booking without The Rock and John turns heel at WrestleMania. He turned heel.
That would have been crazy.
Wins the title, and then we get nothing throughout the entirety of it without that weird 6-week build. Now, did they carry it well? Yes. Did it go okay? Yes. But when you have a whole thing set up where The Rock is called in because Ari Emanuel feels like Elimination Chamber can't stand on its own, and so he comes up with this completely cockamamie scheme that now everyone has to write their way out of, and yet it seems to work, but then he doesn't continue it at the biggest show of the year.
You could tell that there were too many cooks in the kitchen. Like too many people were involved in how we were going to get the story going and how this match was going to go.
This is one of those cases where less was more for this match.
Yeah, it should have been.
Kept things out. it would have been fine. I was still okay with Cena turning heel at Chamber and then having be heel at Mania. But just remove The Rock, remove Travis Scott, and just have heel Cena and do exactly what he did. Basically give us nothing. The match wasn't going to be good. I mean, Johnson's damn near 50 years old. The match wasn't going to be this masterclass of a wrestling match. He came out and did his thing and won. And they just left it at that. And then did the whole the cheap heel trick thing. You let him still do that because he's heel. And then left it at that. Or I like the idea JVL said of have him do the nut kick spot at Mania, and then everybody would be like, wait, what? But
and Mania on that note would have been so much more of a gut punch. This was just more of a wet fart.
Wah, wah.
Now I am excited about what's going to happen afterwards because I know it's not going to be the best match ever, but it's my entire childhood of Randy versus John.
Yeah, we know that's happening at Backlash. Like, they haven't given us the official card, but literally that is it's Randy's hometown. Like St. Louis, like this Backlash is happening there. So Cena and Randy are going to face off at Backlash.
Throwing him that early into it too. It's going to be interesting as he loses, but
again, so I'm interested to see what we do with Cena because I know, and again, WWE might just pull the rug out from under me, but there's no way Randy's winning at Backlash. There's no way he's taking the title off him this soon, which makes me intrigued to see how John Cena's summer is going to go, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we talk about how much WWE just stacked their summer season.
But the sounds of it, John isn't planning on wrestling at all because you heard what he said on Monday. He goes, I have 27 dates. I just have to show up and do this.
Do the bare minimum.
This is what I have to do, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm taking this belt home.
I think it was said on Wrestle Talk a couple days ago. They would love, and I would love to see this, where John Cena steps out onto the stage, turns, points to the number, it goes down one, and he just leaves, and that's it for the entirety of the thing.
Yeah,
no talk. He just trolls it for a couple of nights as things are going down. I fully see SummerSlam being him versus Punk, and Cena retaining and going out of the crowd like Punk did, blowing a kiss to him.
That would be amazing. Again, WWE likes to pull from the past and try to do the greatest hits in the modern era for these fans. So, again, this match was so divisive with people all over the place. For the story purposes, I was like, this is intriguing. However, again, we did not need the Travis Scott spot. There was no point of Rock being in this whole entire thing to kick things off with the heel turn at, Elimination Chamber. And Rock, you gave me a crock of nothing when you were on the Pat McAfee show trying to explain what happened away. I was just like, Dwayne, that is a load of shit, and you know it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, come on, Dewey. What the fuck?
So, Cena beats Cody Rhodes after somewhat shenanigans from Travis Scott by hitting Cody with the belt. And I know some people are upset.
But we're upset about Travis. I will say he sold the shit out of that Crossroads.
That I agree with. That Crossroads,
yeah, he definitely did.
It was great. And it was like to the point where Cody, again, had to push him. JBL will be back. The wrestling gods did not like his commentary, so they're going to put him right back in a little bit. And I do want him to come back because I want him here when we talk about the news section. So, again, John Cena, a 17-time champion, breaks Ric Flair's record as now the WWE superstar with the most championship wins, even though technically Ric Flair had 20 title reigns, but WWE fudges the record book from time to time. But we digress. John Cena walks out, crowd booing. He is your champion, and this is going to be an interesting. So that takes care of Night 2 Mania review. So let's get into some news. So I want to start with the easiest one, which is to kind of go over what WWE has decided to do with its summer schedule, because as if we weren't going to be busy enough. So we have officially ended the quote-unquote spring season of WWE, which led us from the Rumble to the Chamber to Mania, and now we are entering the summer season, which is going to encompass May all the way to August. So let me just give you everything that main roster has planned, because we're going to talk about NXT in a little bit with this piece of news at the very end. But WWE is going to be having a very busy summer, because in 2 weeks' time in May, we have Backlash coming to us live from St. Louis, which I'm upset that Backlash is not in a international place, because international crowds are just so much better. It's not opinion, it is fact. But we are getting Backlash in May in St. Louis. Then we fast forward to my home state, because then on Saturday, June 7th, Money in the Bank is coming to us live from the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, California, which also NXT will be running the shows earlier in that day or across the street from the Intuit Dome, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Then we are heading on over to Saturday night's main event in the middle of July, which is towards the end. So Kilt and I will probably do a watch along at that point, like we have for the past Saturday night main events. But all roads lead to the first ever 2-night SummerSlam event coming to us from the MetLife in New Jersey / New York. Whatever, like that area is crazy. But we also found out that Miss Cardi B is hosting both nights of SummerSlam, so that's going to be interesting. So summer is going to be packed for main roster, because we're doing something almost every single month leading into SummerSlam. So WWE summer is going to be crazy. But let's talk about the other piece of news that I wanted to discuss, because I have thoughts and feelings. Adolfo had thoughts and feelings, and I'm interested to hear JVL's and everybody else's. So during the pre-show, during the middle of the afternoon of night 2, before night 2 started, we had a bunch of, Latino talent along with Stephanie, and, Vikingo was there. I'm like, okay, this is already setting off some alarms in my head. What are we about to hear? And sure enough, we get told by Michael Cole that WWE has purchased AAA, the Lucha Libre company in Mexico. And they've also simultaneously announced that with the purchase of AAA, on Saturday, June 7th, in the early afternoon, about a couple hours before Money in the Bank happens at the Intuit Dome, over at the Kiam Forum across the street, NXT will be hosting a Worlds Collide event of NXT versus AAA. Now, as an NXT correspondent, I'm excited, because NXT versus AAA could not be on paper. But what worried me the most is, because WWE purchased AAA, my biggest fear is that WWE is going to do what it did to the British wrestling scene when we had NXT UK, where they're going to try to monopolize it, and they are going to force a style of wrestling which has been around for centuries, might I add. This is a form of wrestling that dates back to the 1800s, and WWE is going to try to tell Lucha Libre and luchadors that you have to wrestle in the WWE style of Lucha Libre, which is hot garbage. I'm just saying. And, I might be a little biased, because I also cover CMLL, and that is always fun to watch every Friday night and to review as well. But as we saw with NXT UK, WWE tried to monopolize the British wrestling scene, and it backfired so hard, because they financially couldn't recover for it. They tried to monopolize it, and then when NXT UK shut down, only the wrestlers that were able to transfer to the US were able to stay with WWE. Everybody else pretty much lost their jobs. And that is essentially what WWE is starting to do. Now, granted, this is a good release, but we got word that AAA, probably under direction from WWE, has released its current men's champion in Alberto Del Patron, which I'm okay with, because he is trash. He needs to go away. He should not be wrestling, especially after the things he did to Saraya / Paige. Like, not okay in our books.
I just looked up, as of right now, there's been nothing about a release, but we'll see how.
But unfortunately, I feel like that's what's going to be coming. We're going to find out that some AAA talent that doesn't fit the mold for WWE is going to be released. But also, the other thing that worries me is the fact that since they purchased AAA, that probably means they also got the contracts of the people that are contracted with AAA as well. So Hunter, not you don't get a Triple H for me in this one. Hunter, I know you're going to screw up Vikingo. Leave that kid alone. Now, granted, I need Vikingo to not get injured every time he wrestles, but
Allow me, Paul, darling, Mr. Levesque, if I may, don't fuck this up.
Truer words never spoken. Although you can tell the sentiment going on there. If you look at that picture of all the luchadors and everything else, and you look at both Andrade and Stephanie Vaquer's faces, they are not impressed with what's about to happen.
it makes me depressed in a way. Because I'm conflicted, JVL. I really am. Because on the one hand, as a fan for NXT versus any other promotion around the world is great because again, you call me a shill, call me a fanboy, I don't care. I feel like NXT, especially in their women's division, is very strong. NXT has a very strong roster of kids. Yes, they are kids because most of them are still in their 20s. But I'm worried because I don't as a brown kid in America, I don't want to see a company that is being led by white people, basically pseudo colonizing lucha libre and trying to dictate what they can and cannot do in terms of their style of wrestling. Because to me, that screams basically the rest of history, just in the form specific to wrestling. I was like, are we about to have the Crusades all over again? I was like, oh, it's going to be a massacre. People are going to lose jobs.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want WWE is going to tell luchadors how they should wrestle now that AAA is a part of the brand. And I'm just like, there are so many people that are about to lose their jobs right now.
Or leave once their contracts are up.
Or leave. And I agree with you. Stephanie was trying to be professional, but she was holding it in. There's a reason she went to CMLL. And I know she wanted to be in WWE, so I'm not going to knock her because everybody wants their dream to be WWE. But I am worried for all the luchadors and the luchadoras in AAA of what happens with them. I will say, though, AAA was struggling because, one, you had Alberto Del Patron as your champion, who is always causing problems for the company. But it also didn't help that Conan is just a piece of shit booker. He sucks at booking. And just as equally as stubborn is Mr. Vampiro himself, too. Those two drove AAA to the ground in the last couple of years. There's a reason that Penta and Rey Fenix left to go to AEW when they could. Because there were some issues.
You know what would be good is if Rey Mysterio decides he wants to retire and he goes and becomes the Triple H of AAA and takes that over, because then we have a luchador as their person, as their Shawn Michaels, as their Triple H, as the person directing that program or that division. And it makes more sense to me that should be, because that means you have someone who knows everything about lucha, who is lucha in not just America's eyes, but a lot of other people's eyes as well. And that would be the best option.
Which I would love. There's only one issue with this, and Adolfo brought this up after we had a conversation after the watch along. The Mysterio name has such a weird relationship with just Lucha Libre as a whole, because Rey has found success in WWE as being a more Americanized luchador, which he still does the lucha basics. But if you compare what Rey has done in his career to what we are currently seeing in Mexico, is completely different. And according to reports, I believe, I forgot the gentleman's name who is already in WWE right now that is going to oversee the creative for it, but this is a white man. So, like we talked about, if we were going to have a Shawn Michaels for AAA, which is probably going to get rebranded as NXT Mexico, either we need to have somebody who knows Lucha Libre in and out in order to do so, or you need to have somebody like a Shawn Michaels go down there, learn about it, and actually do. Nobody's going to know this name, but for the equivalent of this, there's a CMLL wrestler by the name of Flip Gordon. He is basically a white man who's wrestling in Lucha Libre. However,
A
he
white
moved-
man.
But this is where
I've been resisting that.
this is why Flip Gordon is invited to the Quince, because he moved to Mexico. He learned the language. He put himself into the culture of not just the Mexican people, but also of the history and the respect, and learned lucha libre from down there. And he's also married to a really nice, beautiful lady in Mexico as well. So those are the two paths that I would be okay with it. You need to put somebody who knows lucha libre, or you pull a Flip Gordon and you go down there, you learn about it, you embrace it, you learn the ins and outs, and then abide by those standards, which WWE is not going to. So I'm not holding my breath for that one. Am I still excited about Worlds Collide? Absolutely, yes. I'm going to be trying to go to the show since it's in my backyard of Los Angeles. I'm just worried for the future, but I can't play that game right now. I just have to see how it pans out. Yes. I know it sounds like a one-sided issue, but as a brown kid living in America, this shit is important to me because I don't want lucha libre to become watered down here in the States.
It makes complete sense. You're preaching to the choir here. We're all very worried about this in a lot of different ways and can't fathom how badly they're going to screw this up.
Yeah.
The only other silver lining I have to this is Vince has no way to fuck this up directly.
Which is very true. But also, I am still not 100% on board because I'm like, to wrap up this, while I thought some parts of Mania this year was a lot of fun, I think this was the first big crack in the Triple H regime, because I feel like this was a step. They took some steps forward, but they also took some steps back with what we got as a presentation. And I will say, after having very strong Manias for the last like 3 or 4 years, I feel like this one was not my favorite. I'm not gonna lie.
You're not wrong, and I feel like there's also some TKO fuckery here.
Yeah, you could tell that there were a lot of parts that TKO got their hands in the pot and messed up the ingredients to some of this stuff.
So
Also, I can say this: fuck Dana White. Thank God he wasn't there for night 2. Anyways, that's besides the point. Also, there was that. And also, I am interested to see that poor lady, Steve Austin. I don't know what happened with that ATV, but
He had a few Steve Weisers before he went driving.
yeah,
He actually missed the ramp initially.
he did.
That's
He
what
had to
took
back up
him
and redo it.
yeah, I'm just like. Anyways, that is going to be it for us here at Wrestle Watch. This has been your night 2 review for Mania. Overall, I think we said it over the last 2 days, the last 24, 48 hours. Mania had some fun parts this year, but this was a weaker Mania, especially after the ones we've gotten in the last couple of years. But I'm still looking forward to the rest of the year for WWE to kind of give you an update. Now that the Mania is over, we still have more reviews going on this week. Later on tonight, myself and Andrew, as part of the Progressives review team, will be reviewing the Progress Las Vegas show, where we're going to talk about all the stuff that went down in Las Vegas during the collective, where all the independent promotions merged to Vegas to get all that done. And we'll also be previewing the Progress Wrestling's next show, which is the Super Strong Style 16 tournament. Go over all the participants, give our thoughts about it, and also talk about the championship match that is happening at the show too. As a surprise, tomorrow evening, El Buntador himself, Adolfo, the nerdy Puerto Rican, will be holding a special CMLL review outside of our normal time, just for all the folks who want to, listen in to Lucha Libre and things like that. Adolfo will be running this solo because I'll unfortunately have other plans. But I'm also enjoying my spring break. So Adolfo said he's got this. So make sure y'all go tune in tomorrow evening at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific to watch.
We're doing something on Thursday now?
I know.
Get ready because the next couple of Thursdays has something on it. It's crazy. But then we finish off WrestleMania Hell Week as myself, Will, and our newest TNA host, JT, cover the TNA Unbreakable pay-per-view. So the 6-sided scholars are going to be there. We will be covering everything that happened Unbreakable. We will be touching upon a little bit of this Thursday's episode of TNA, which is the Go Home Show. And then we will be giving our predictions for TNA Rebellion, which is happening Sunday, April 27th, which I am super excited about because I will be in the crowd live at the Gallon Center on USC with Mama Laguillo to go to my first TNA show, but both of our first TNA pay-per-view show. LA is either going to leave a very happy crowd or the Gallon Center might be on the news because fans set fire to it, depending on who walks out as champion on Sunday.
There we go. And
So we shall see.
All the talk of RKO happening somewhere else in the middle of it. Let's hope maybe Randy Orton shows up and RKOs him again. So who knows?
That'd be crazy.
That'd be awesome.
I'm excited. There are 8 matches announced. We'll probably get another match for the pre-show, the countdown on this Thursday's episode. But we got lots of TNA talent. There's a lot of NXT crossover too. I get to see the Metaphor girls in person, which makes me excited, of Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Danny Luna and Jody Thread are about to kill people. It's going to be great. I also get to see Gigi and Tatum. It's going to be a fun one. But we got to get up on out of here because these boys got other things to do. And I have another review to prepare for in about an hour. So from all of us here at Wrestle Watch and the BC Wrestle Pod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. You will catch me and Andrew back here in about an hour, so stay tuned for that. But until then, sayonara, adios, and Minnie, can you remind the folks at home, why do we do what we do here at the BC Wrestle Pod? We'll see you later. Ta-ta for now.